Hey everyone, I'm David Atkins, backed by the grace of God, target individual. We'll start out with a word, and today I'm going to talk about some really deep stuff I found. And I dig deep because and I'm more in Hosea 4:6. God says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." Lack of knowledge. We're in a spiritual battle, and I'm fixing to talk about some deep stuff. I'm going to talk about the scripts they put targets through. And when you think about it, you're going to be like, but it's deep. It's just as good as the AI and transhumanism information that I found. And I'm going to be coming out of something out of one of Robert Duncan's books called Project Soul Catcher. It's going to be some snippets out of it. It is real deep information, food for thought. And some of this stuff I disagree with, and I'm going to put my emphasis on it. And but before I start, we're in a spiritual battle, believers. This is for my believers. If you don't believe, I respect you. But I always try to give a word of encouragement to my believers, and so you can just fast forward it to the information I'm about to share, which is very good information. And you got to come up with your own opinion on this, because But the dude, Robert Duncan, he's basically the guy who helped put the surveillance system and apparatus together for the NSA and the government. And he was on the Jesse Ventura show. Y'all that are comfortable and y'all that know about that. So anyway, Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. That's why it's on us to know the word and know the enemy, and be able to quote Bible verses when we start going through these mind games. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I can do all things that Christ has strengthened me. He should give his angels charge over you, keep you in all the way. 1,000 may fall at my side, 10,000. I'm more than a conqueror. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. You got to build yourself up in the Word. Faith comes by hearing, hearing comes the Word of God. Without hearing the Word of God, you can't have faith. And you have to build yourself up to attack Him. When your mind starts getting attacked, I'm more than a conqueror. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Let us not grow weary in well doing, for in due season I will reap if I faint not. Spit off Bible verses like that, So anyway, I'm going to start with this information, and this is deep, and I'm going to give my emphasis on the stuff I kind of disagree with when I read it, but a lot of this stuff is very plausible and makes a lot of sense. Okay. The gang stalkers enact these role-playing skits with street theater. And I know you hear me say street theater, and you're like, oh, I know all about it. No, this is some deep information. This is mind tricks, nano tricks, all this stuff. This is deep. This is a lot more than street theater. All set up first by implanting words or thoughts into your head with V2K, voice to skull, and subsequent pre-choreographed staged events, which are artificial synchronicities or coincidences that seem completely and mathematically improbable. I've heard other TIs claim they experienced the same thing, and I've experienced it. So anyway, here we go. The script is the most popular in one chapter, Angels and Demons script. This is Robert Duncan's book called Project Soul Catcher. In one chapter called Angels and Demons script, it says the script is the most popular one used on target, so it's very important that I elaborate on it a great deal. During rapid fire interrogation techniques, the person is visited by 4 fallen angels or demons. In summary, if the psychic assassin fails to kill his target, the target is saved by God's angel. It's usually Michael or Gabriel, which is the perfect script to use on Christian targeted individuals. That's where I'm going to stop, because just because they run scripts and make you think you're hearing from God and all that, you still hear from God. God is still real. So, they're just trying to influence you in a Christian way and use mind control. And they use different religions, not only Christian. Okay. The script plays into all religions, local cultures, mythologies, and superstitions. Around 90-95% of the world's population is religious to some extent. So these techniques are very effective when combined with the V2K weapons. Religion is the favorite method of manipulation of all mind hacking script. Using the V2K, voice of God, I call it voice of the devil, biocommunications, such as microwave silence signals, most will believe their God of choice is speaking to them. God does speak to you. Angels do cover you. But sometimes they'll deceive you. So I'm not saying none of that, because God saved me more. I'm only here because God talking to you right now. So Another few scripts were in Alice in Wonderland and The Wizard of Oz. Here are a few excerpts. In all interrogation literature, the first few steps to confuse and disorient the detainee. Like in most of the CIA scripts, their goal is confusion. Listen to this. This is interesting. The Alice in Wonderland script is aptly named as it involves chasing the white rabbit. This is an information warfare tactic to lead the subject down a path of misinformation or information overload. In George Orwell's 1984 book, they torture the subject until they submit. Then they fill the ruling party's ideas into their heads. During the script, the mind hackers increase panic using the beta wave enhancement entrainment to instill panic in the target. To hurry up. The end of the world is near. We're going to kill you and your family. We're frying your brains. We'll place bombs in your cars, etc. Panic is not only used to confuse the target, but to also make the target act irrationally and make bad decisions. People in panic mode can make decisions in greater haste, and such suggestibility is easier. In this case, the fairy tale of the White Rabbit entails its panic for no other reason than to make it to the Mad Hatter's party. Hurry up, I'm late, I'm late. Under this particular program, they often tell the subject that they've lost their minds and have planted chips in them. The Cheshire Cat says, Alice, you wouldn't be here unless you were insane or mad. As experimentation and script progresses, so does the madness. This prepares the target to chat with Alice, artificial, linguistic, internet computer entity, and Tammy, thought and memory interface, chatterboxes, automated AI programs described in chapter 3. You have to get the book to read the whole book. These programs are imperfect and can probably be slightly modified, but the imperfections can be understood by the subject. The Wicked Witch program tries to get the subject to perform evil or wicked deeds to set up the target later on by making them feel guilty or ashamed, which will lead them to either out themselves, keep quiet about gang stalker technology, or even commit suicide. You know, I can think of things I did in the past before I knew anything about this, which seemed all out of character for me, and I do feel ashamed about them. But now that I know they're capable of influencing in behavior and emotions, I'm starting to see they may have set me up for those things by influencing certain parts of my brain via subliminal suggestions. Then they'd use my poor decision later on with a guilt frequency as an emotional response to trigger erratic thoughts. And they do this to make you easier prey for their control techniques and V2K programs. And in my case, I'll call it the Christian program. Not saying that Christianity is not real. What I'm saying is they'll play off that and make scenarios and just make stuff, synchronicities and coincidences. So, because I do identify as a Christian, well, spiritual, a follower of Jesus. I got to watch the Christian word, because then you get in some religion, some man-made beliefs, because every church has different rules and all. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the Bible or none of that. So anyway, White Knight talks backwards, trickery. This is one of the more complex tricks, technology that the CIA uses in their Alice in Wonderland programs. It's meant to confuse the subject, discredit them if they tell anyone, and make them believe an omnipotent force exists so they won't hide any secrets. It's truly an amazing trick, one of their most amazing and difficult to explain. It requires two featured wireless mind hacking tools: detections of sudden changes in direction using radar triangulation, and Alice, the chatterbox program. And I'll go back up here to tell you what Alice stands for: Artificial Linguistic Internet Computer Entity. Okay, and later in the book, Alice will be described in more detail, but is essentially a conversation bot used to invoke endless conversation with a human subject and can be used to induce an internal conversation that tricks the person into thinking it's their own voice or dialogue. People have a hard time comprehending that they are just biological computer entities, but this demonstration can convince anyone. The Wizard of Oz script, later named for QBARC manual for the interrogation, borrows the movie script by character. The Cowardly Lion, the Straw Man with no brain, and the Tin Man with no heart, and the Wicked Witch. These characters are acted out in cybernetic hive mind for experimentation and interrogation. The target becomes each character in search of the fraud Wizard of Oz behind the national security curtain. Dorothy, we're not in Kansas anymore. In each personality simulations, the target is put through a most enormous strain. This is a strange twist on the good cop, bad cop interrogation tactic. The strategy is that the subject's more likely to crack and tell their secrets under different emotional states and conditions. The Tin Man is a sociopathic personality with no heart and no care. He was angry at the world. The final stage is Scarecrow with no brain, the typical brain jamming and confusion tactic. Imagine that during the interrogation. This drawn-out script even comes with impish-like midget voices on helium, like the Lollipop Kids. They even have special effect computer simulator spoofing virus that can make person look possessed. Additionally, many will look like they're talking to themselves or have split personality. It's used like all scripts to confuse the target about the real technology and purposes. So yeah, that's what's going on, and I got a part 2 to this tomorrow. I didn't feel like going into it. Well, Duncan writes about how the CIA programs are named, and so as does John Marks. George White named one of his sub-K MK Ultra programs Operation Midnight Climate. But on the whole, most names are related to the Disney movies, or books like Alice in Wonderland. Then you have the Angels and Demons script for mind control, the Wizard of Oz script, the Sleeping Beauty script, and the Bible Bible script, and the Satan script, the silent assassination through amplified neuron program. So tomorrow I'm going to do part 2. I don't like keeping my videos. That's just something right there, and it goes deeper tomorrow. I started to share part 2 with you first, but I had to go over part 1 and what was going on. So yeah, tomorrow will be part 2. God bless y'all. Also, I'm going to put the link under the video. It's a GoFundMe link. As you know, my left leg is still messed up. I can barely walk on my heel, and when I do, if I step flat-footed, my knee buckles and goes down. So rent's coming up, and I need a little help with that. As soon as I get I owe like $300. So as soon as I get that, I'll take it down. I hate asking for money, but right now I'm in the process of trying to see doctors about disability and all that. So, but until then, this is what I got to do. I play games and surveys on my phone for money and stuff like that. But you don't make that much. Maybe $5 every 2 days if I'm lucky. So I'm gonna put that link down below too. Well, God bless y'all. Tomorrow I will do part 2 because it's more interesting. It goes more into the weapons, the use behind the weapons that are part of this program that's playing tricks on your mind. But anyway, it makes a lot of sense to me. However, I don't want y'all to take me wrong, because I'm not saying that the program, I'm not saying that they make everything, like say you got something and God saved you. I'm not saying that was fake. God saved me every time, and I believe it. Maybe they did play tricks on me one time. But I don't know. I'm convinced it was God, But I'm saying, in my opinion, in my heart, what I know, God's real. And I wouldn't be here if he wasn't. But I still think they play these mind games sometimes to make you think certain stuff and be grandiose. Anyway, God bless y'all. Y'all have a good day, and I will see y'all tomorrow.